Hello, welcome to another Tech Tip Tuesdays, where we give you tech tips the day before Wednesday. Today we're talking about a brand new vulnerability that's come onto the block that we all probably need to be at least aware of, and that's AI Package Hallucinations. I know it's a bit of a mouthful, but basically this is when an AI tool like ChatGPT or Copilot or something else suggests packages to you that don't actually exist. And I'll explain why this is such a massive security vulnerability in a minute. Before we get into that, please like and subscribe to the channel. It helps the YouTube gods promote our content, and also it keeps me in a job. So, that's helpful. Enough about that. Let's get into this week's discussion. First, what we need to understand is that these AI systems use something called vector databases to find relationships between prompts that you write and what they've found in their database. But often, these relationships can be confused between what the model thinks should exist and what actually does exist. Because these models, you have to remember, are based on old data, or at least old by today's standards, and they're trying to figure out what an appropriate answer may be. A really obvious way to describe this is that there was a lawyer in the United States that had created an argument with lots of legal precedents, but that argument was created by ChatGPT. And the legal precedents that he used were all entirely made up, which, to say the least, was a little bit embarrassing for that lawyer. So how does this relate to software development? Well, in software, we use lots of open source packages, whether these be to do certain tasks or connect to different systems. Now, typically, how we would find these packages is going onto a package registry, something like PyPy for Python or NPM for Node, or we might use this tool like Stack Overflow to see what other people suggest. We could then look at these packages, see what they did, and then choose to use them within our project. How this has changed a little bit now is that we can ask directly something like ChatGPT, hey, what packages should I want to do if I'm using this project I want to connect to this database? And it will suggest a bunch of really helpful packages, along with advantages of why you should use it, code of how you could use it, and even the code to install this package. So this seems absolutely fantastic, and it takes away a lot of the work that we had to do, but it leaves a big security hole. We're relying entirely on the AI system to be correct, and often they're not. It varies between AI models, but somewhere between 22 and 30% of all of these packages that the AI system suggests are entirely made up. They don't exist. Let me give you an example. On my screen, I have ChatGPT open, and now I'm going to ask it to connect a Node project with an Orient database. I've said I should give me some options and tell me the advantages of the options that I should use. And if I go ahead and run this, it's going to do exactly as I asked. Come spit back a whole bunch of options with the code to install each one. There's a problem though. Most of the options that it's given me don't exist. If I copy this code here, open up my terminal and try and install this using npm, I will get a 404 error. Basically, this project doesn't exist. But it's not alone. 2 of the 3 suggestions it's made are also entirely made up. So what's the big deal with this? All right, AI systems, we know they can be full of crap. And them suggesting a package that doesn't exist doesn't seem that bad, because the worst thing that's going to happen to me is I get an error when I run my code, and then I'm going to eventually find the issue and figure it out. Well, not quite. You see, for a very long time, there's been an attack method by hackers called Typo Squatting. Now, essentially what this means is that an attacker will find a very popular package. For example, there was one on PyPy, the Python package index, called CCXT, and it was a cryptocurrency trading library. What an attacker did is they created a new malicious version of this package called CCTX. Right? There was a small spelling difference between the two. The one that had the spelling error was malicious, and it was pretty much trying to steal your cryptocurrency. And this is relying on people making a mistake and making a spelling mistake. So how does this relate to AI package hallucination? Well, essentially, what if instead of there not being a package there that the AI system made up, but there was? So for example, if I, as the attacker, decided then to create a whole bunch of malicious packages based on results that I got from AI systems giving me made up packages, all of those packages will be malicious, and essentially what I'm trying to do is rely on the AI system to advertise my malicious package. Users, unbeknownst to them, will take the data from ChatGPT, plug it in, and it will work. They won't get an error. They'll be able to install the package. But at the end of that package is me, the attacker, and I have a malicious surprise waiting for them. This is why it's such a danger. Now, right now, I can say that the number of hallucinated packages is between 20 and 30%. But that's the packages that we know were hallucinated because they don't exist. What about the packages that do exist, but an attacker has already found them? So we can expect that this number, this 30% to 20 to 30% number, it's going to go down. Not because the systems will be getting better, but because attackers will be creating malicious output. That's what makes this so scary, is eventually we're not even going to know what's been hallucinated and what's not, because the packages are all going to exist. So what's the solution? Well, in this case, what we absolutely need to do, and the tip for this week, is to make sure that we're not blindly trusting any systems to install packages. When we install a package, we should always visit that package's page on the registry that it's at. Make sure that it has an adequate number of versions, an adequate number of downloads, and has a history that goes along with it. We also should be integrating something that we call SCA in our projects. That stands for Software Composition Analysis. And essentially what these tools do is they look at all the open source libraries and packages that your project is using, and then it tries to find out if those versions are malicious or have any vulnerabilities against it. If it does find anything, it will let you know. So that way, if a package does slip through or something is later on turned malicious, then you'll be able to be aware of this through your SCA tool. There's lots of SCA tools that exist. They vary from large enterprise-ready versions like what GitGuardian has, but also lots of open source versions that you can use as well. There you have it. That's this week's Tech Tip Tuesday. Be careful when using open source libraries, especially if they're being suggested to you from an AI system. There you have it. That's this week's Tech Tip. Gosh darn it.